Hello, this is Mercedes from prettywebs.com and welcome to the second video for the PhotoScape version 3.7 batch editor. In the first video, we went over how to batch resize all of your images for your blog and social media. Today, we're going to be going over how to stylize your images for social media, which will include adding text to your images, adding image overlays and color overlays. So quickly before we get started, I just want to go over when batch editing is and isn't appropriate. So if you're working on creating batches of blog feature images, you can add the background image and then get your format together, but you can't add text because it's going to add that same text to all of your images. So you can add the background image, and then if you have an overlay on the top of that, go ahead and add that. Save all of those images and add your text in later. Otherwise, everything that you put together is going to have the same exact text on there. This is best for running campaigns, especially if you're using a specific hashtag or you have a consistent message that you want to get out several times. Maybe you have a promotion or an event happening during the week and you want to get that message out several times the week prior to the event, then this is definitely a good way to get those images batch edited. You can also use this for blog post series. So if you have a series of posts that are coming out for the entire month, say you're doing a series on healthy food, keto diet or something like that. I'm interested in keto, so that came off the top of my head. But if you're doing something like, say, keto for the entire month, then you can do definitely different images and then use that as a hashtag and put that in your social media. So I just wanted to quickly go over that because the text and all of the overlays will be applied to every single image. So just be aware of that. So now we're going to go ahead and come into the batch editor, and I'm going to use these images. They're from a blog post I did last week about St. Patrick's Day resources. So I'm going to grab all of these, and what you're going to do is these are all the files that are on my computer. So you'll just navigate to the file where you're keeping all of the images that you want to use in this campaign, and grab all of those. So I'm going to hold down my left mouse button and then rubber band select everything, and then just drag them all over. So they're all, this is the first image. All of these images are being edited right now. So you can kind of go through and see what we've got. So the main section that we're going to be working with today is going to be right here on this side. There are 3 tabs here: Home, Filter, and Object. On the Home tab, this is what we worked with in the last video, and this is for adjusting the width, the height, and resizing your images here. If you're interested in that, you can watch that video. There is one other option here on the home page, and that is to add a frame. I usually don't add frames just because I don't want anything to distract from my message. I'm using the background images just to enhance the message, but adding frames, it just feels, see, this frame can't even be seen on this because it has a white background, but you can kind of see the different frames, and a lot of these are really nice stylized frames. This is not a good image for that. Let me look at another one. See, this would be really nice for that one particular picture, but not some of them. It's just not going to work for that. But there's tons of these frames that you can go through and look at, but I typically don't use them. If you feel like you need them after you've added your text and there's just something missing, you can come back and definitely look at the frames, but for now we're going to leave those off. And I'm going to come to the third tab, Object tab. This is where you're adding photos and text overlays to your background. These are the background photos. You're given up to 4 photos that you can overlay on top of this background image, and 4 text sections that you can add. So for the text sections, this is if you want to add each line of text separately, just to give you more control over where and how the text is positioned. You know, some of the leading or the space between the typography can be really close on some of these, so you might want a little bit more control over the spacing. This doesn't give you a lot of control over stuff like that, like you do get in Photoshop, but you can control it just by adding the text lines to different sections here. In the photos section, here you can add clip art, you can add your logo, or anything that you'd like to use. I use this a lot for color overlays, which I'm going to show you here in a little bit. So we're going to add the first, and I already added, I use this logo a lot, so it automatically populated up there. But you can change that very easily here. It'll ask if you want a photo or an icon. You can click on photo and then choose something else if that's what you want, and you know, from wherever you're keeping your images. Okay, but we're gonna go ahead and keep that one, and it's a little too big, so I'm gonna shrink it down, put it here in the corner, try to space it as evenly as possible. And then you have a few options here. These are so this is where you choose your pictures. These are the options for your image. And really the only option for the images really is just opacity, how opaque you want that mark to be on your photo. And we're gonna leave it, we might bring it down just a little bit. Okay, so we've added the mark, and you can go through all of your images and kind of see what it looks like to make sure that it's going to show up and it's visible on everything. And it looks okay so far, so we'll go ahead and leave that there. And we're going to add a text overlay, and I had worked with this earlier, so it did keep the text that I had added. So this is the text that I was using, and I added this here. Now if you click on the little pencil here on the side, this menu will pop up, and it has a bunch of other options. So it's gonna take fonts off of your computer, so anything that you have installed on your computer is what will populate here. So say you wanted to use that, maybe a little bit smaller, and you can come in and change the size here in a minute, but I do want to show you some of the other options. Use all of these here. You can change the opacity of your text, and I do have an outline applied here. You can change it to any color that you want. I'm going to go ahead and stick with the green, and then you can apply it to the outline or make it an outline. Just show the outline. But I want the text, the color, and the outline here. And then you can work with the thickness of that outline as well. Maybe we'll want it a little bit thicker there. Okay, you can also add a shadow if you want to do that. So if you don't want an outline and you want to go ahead and add a shadow, you can do that. But I like the outline. I think it stands out a lot more. So we're going to go ahead and use that. You can also change the color of your text here as well. I'm gonna stick to white, but again, you can change that to anything here as well. So you have a pretty good number of options here. I just wanted to show you what I'm talking about with the leading. Let's see. Okay, so this is what I was referring to earlier. This right here, the space between this first line of text and the second line of text is, in my opinion, you might like it. It just depends on your preference. But I feel like this is just too close together. So I would definitely, if I wanted to add a second line of text, would do it here and not here. And plus, with adding this to its own line right here, you have all of these options. So you can change all of this for your second line of text. It can be completely different. You can have a different font. So I just wanted to show you that quickly, just so that you could get an idea of what I was talking about. And then here, if you want to make this bigger, you can just do that here. Made that a little too big. Make that just a little bit smaller. And I'm going to go ahead and take a look at what these look like. So on this image right here, it looks like the text is getting lost in the image. So we'll go ahead and add another image. And what I did was I made a few color overlays. I use especially the black, the gray, and the white ones a lot. I added a new one for this demo, but you can easily make these in Canva or in PowerPoint even. I do have a video on how to create images in PowerPoint, so you can take a look at that if you like. But this right here is just a basic block. There's nothing fancy or anything. It's just a basic block. It can be any size, it doesn't matter, and it doesn't need any opacity or anything settings. You'll go ahead and just make the block, save it as a PNG file, and then just add it in here. Now this is the exact size because my image, it's the exact size of my image, but you can easily change, you can make it bigger, smaller, if you want to. Now I think I'm gonna just have this cover the entire. Okay, that looks good. So just by adding that color overlay on the back, you can see how much more that text stands out on that image, and we'll see if that affected. I mean, it did turn this gold pattern green, but it still looks good. And it looks pretty good on all of these images. So okay, so when I added this overlay, it actually added the overlay over my logo, which I don't like. So I'm gonna remove that, and I'm gonna add that logo in again over the top because I do want it to be visible. I don't want it to disappear behind the overlay. Okay, I'm gonna leave that there in the corner. So that's basically how you get your typography and your image overlays on your, and you can even add this here if you wanted to. Maybe put it at the bottom. I'm gonna leave it over here for now. Once you get all of this stuff, this is the most important part of your image. Then you can come back to filters, and there are a whole bunch of settings you'll have to come through here. Now this PhotoScape is more of a photography editing software more than it is a graphics editing software. So a lot of this stuff is gonna be geared more toward photography. So I'm gonna actually remove this overlay because I do want to show you some of the things that it does here with the filter. This one's a good one for making sure the text stands out, so you can decolor almost to a black and white image right there. You can still see, you know, the color in his skin and in the tassels here. But if you don't want to use a color overlay, you can definitely work here with the saturation. The only thing is it's going to change it in every single photo. So that's what your clovers are going to look like. So, you know, it just depends on what gives you a happy medium between all of your images. We're gonna not decolor that. And this I definitely like. I love vignettes. So, and it gives you several options for it. And what this is just putting this very light dark border around your image. That's really nice. And you can kind of play with these to get something that you like. And then we have antique photo. This is a little dramatic. You know, again, you have to have the right theme in it. I probably wouldn't use it for something like this. If you ever have a need for old photos, antique, that's definitely, you know, there's a whole bunch of options for that. These are really handy as well. They give you, these are probably the most ways that people like to edit their images. So sepia, grayscale, blurring. But like I said, you can play around with this to get something that you're happy with. I'm gonna go ahead and stick with the green color overlay that we had put there before. And then, you know, once you have everything in there, you can kind of come out to the front, and if you feel like you still need something, it's just not, you know, not looking good, you can look at the frames, maybe get a film strip or something in there. But for me, I prefer it just simple. So once you have everything the way you want it and you're happy with your text, with your overlays, with your images, you've got your branding in there, all you have to do is click on Convert All. And we're going to create a folder underneath the first photo that we changed. But there are other options here. You can create an output folder for each changed photo or save it to a specific area on your computer. We'll save it as a new name, and I'll put edit here. I didn't change the file size. Usually I'll add right here the size of the file, but I didn't change any of that. All I did was edit this. So I have the original photos unedited, and then I have these new photos that are edited. So I just added that here. There are a whole bunch of other things that you can do here as well. You can change, put the date here so you know what date they were edited, you know, and a whole bunch of other options here. The format, we're going to use PNG, and that was the original format anyway, so we'll go ahead and use keep it there, and then hit save, and that's it. They're all saved to your computer. Okay, and I am here on my desktop. You're not going to be able to see it, but I'm going to bring that in here. Okay, so these were the original images that we used, and then this is the output folder, is the edited version of those images. So you can kind of see here how easy it was to do all of that editing just once and we've got all of those images ready to be uploaded to our social media profiles. I hope you found this video useful and that you'll be able to save tons of time using PhotoScape for your photo batch editing. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to get more resource videos and tutorials, and don't forget to head over to prettywebs.com and sign up for my newsletter to get even more blog, business, and marketing resources. Thanks for watching.